Liao Sanchamanyavu Kechamalea Tu Itaiwai. Hi everyone, happy Monday. Last week, the Prince of Wales completed a 5-day visit to Brazil, a trip that brought him face to face with realities of deforestation, indigenous resistance, and the fight to protect the Amazon. During his time in the port city of Belém, Prince William met with indigenous leaders and environmental defenders who shared firsthand accounts of violence, displacement, and hope. Today, we look back on his visit, what was said, what was promised, and what it means for the future of the Amazon and the communities who call it home. On the final day of his 5-day visit to Brazil, the Prince of Wales met with indigenous leaders in the Amazon city of Belém, where discussions centered on the ongoing fight to protect ancestral lands from deforestation, extractive industries, and violence. The visit, part of Prince William's broader environmental campaign, came as he faced challenges both at home and abroad, from families' controversies in the United Kingdom to diplomatic scrutiny over the British government's decision not to financially support Brazil's tropical forest forever fund, a conversation initiative he publicly endorsed. Meeting the Guardians of the Amazon. At the Emilio Goldi Museum Botanical Gardens, Prince William met with representatives from 5 indigenous territories, including Shuma Shipaya, a 33-year-old activist whose fight to defend her people's lands from corporate expansion was featured in the Leonardo DiCaprio-produced documentary Yanuni. Shipaya spoke candidly about the dangers indigenous communities face. It's getting worse because of the violence, she told reporters through a translator. I'm a young woman and leader of my people, and I have already received 6 direct death threats. She said she had lived under UN protection before deciding to return home to continue her work. Despite the threats posed by organized crime groups targeting her territory, Shipaya also highlighted social challenges within indigenous communities, noting issues surrounding drugs, alcohol, and violence against women and girls, problems compounded by corporate and political pressures. You are the guardians we all need to support. During the meeting, William also spoke with Hoenia Wapichana, Brazil's first indigenous female lawyer and president of the National Association of Indigenous Peoples, APIB. Walking together through the garden, Wapichana explained how big business and weak legal protections threaten indigenous sovereignty. When William asked whether justice has been achieved for displaced indigenous families, leaders responded that the legal system is oriented by political powers. Female leaders added that they often face dual discrimination both as indigenous people and as women. This is a unique moment at COP30 to raise these issues, one leader told the prince. Your Royal Highness's influence is vital. William responded, we do hope things improve and everyone realizes the importance of what indigenous people and communities do to protect the natural world. You are the guardians and protectors we all need to support. Before leaving, the prince received symbolic gifts, a jar of honey, 2 hand-woven fans, and a letter written by Angela Amanakwa Gashoyana, who described how her people were displaced during Brazil's military dictatorship and are still awaiting official recognition of their lands. Diplomacy, symbolism, and global stage. While the prince's message of urgency plus optimism equals action appeared throughout his trip, even illuminated in drones above Rio's Ipanema beach, his advocacy was overshadowed by diplomatic tensions despite his endorsement of the Brazilian-led Conservation Fund. The UK government declined to contribute, raising questions about the gap between royal advocacy and governmental policy. The visit coincided with the UN Climate Summit COP30, where Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has promised to prioritize the rights of indigenous peoples in environmental governance. However, many leaders argue that progress remains slow. Context, royal family, and media distractions. The Prince of Wales's efforts in Brazil unfolded against a backdrop of renewed headlines involving his family. In North America, Prince Harry visited Toronto to commemorate Remembrance Tide with Canadian veterans and published an essay titled What It Means to Be British, while meanwhile US lawmakers renewed calls for former Prince Andrew to answer questions about his ties to late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Despite the distractions, William maintained focus on his Earthshot campaign and role of Indigenous stewardship and environmental protection. During a summit in Rio de Janeiro, he announced a new fund to support Indigenous communities, stating that power must be returned to local hands. Indigenous voices at the heart of global climate action. For Indigenous advocates, the meeting represented both a symbolic acknowledgement and a reminder of global responsibility. Activists like Huma Shipaya continue to call for international solidarity that translates into tangible protection, not just promises. As COP30 approaches, Indigenous leaders hope that visibility from high profile visits can strengthen their position in negotiations, ensuring that Indigenous guardianship of the Amazon remains central to global climate policy. Thank you for listening to the audio and watching the visual format of Itom Hiawa Reports. As the world attention briefly turned to Brazil last week, Indigenous leaders reminded the global community that their struggle doesn't end when the cameras leave. From Belem's botanical gardens to the front lines of the rainforest, the message was clear. Protecting the Amazon begins by protecting its people. I hope you all have a great day. Tua Lios and Chimioka Tesiavu, Lios Apuenchimak. Chukola. I'll see you next time.